Okay, so today I'm going to talk about a few different subjects. I don't know if the first subject is going to take long enough to cover an entire video length. So we have a Harbor Freight Predator pressure washer. Now, I've already done the diagnosis on this, so I'm pretty sure I knew what was wrong as soon as I saw it. The guy called me up. It's a previous customer's son is what it is. The guy called me up and says, I got a pressure washer and I don't think it has any spark. Can you take a look at it? Yeah, of course, sure, no problem. So his father brings it over, said that he had replaced, the son had replaced a wire, and you can kind of see that maybe it has a zip tie on it. So I went ahead and went through the regular diagnostic process, and I put starting fluid in the carburetor, tried to pull it, and the pull felt weird. Now when I brought it down from his truck, the spark plug just looked odd to me. I couldn't tell you what it was, but just at a glance it looked odd. So like I said, put starting fluid in it, pulled it, and it just pulled weird. Just didn't feel right. Something wasn't right. So I put my spark plug tester on. Now the spark plug tester is kind of neat. It's just a light, so you put one in on here, you put the other end on the spark plug, and it lights up to let you know. I mean, you can actually run the engine with the spark plug tester on it. So I checked that it had spark. So with him saying it didn't have spark, that wasn't true. So I went ahead and took it out because I was thinking, okay, well, the next step is compression. So I was going to check the compression, and as soon as I started taking the spark plug out, you could tell there was a kind of a wobble to it as you were taking it out. So it had stripped. So I know the trolls are going to have a field day with what I'm about ready to say. So you go ahead and type your keyboard warrior stuff in right now, and then I'll explain why I've decided what I decided. So immediately, as soon as you look at the spark plug, you can see, I don't know if you can see it in the camera, that there are filings of the aluminum head. That's what the spark plug goes into the head, ground into the threads of the steel spark plug. So somebody misthreaded it. It's very easy to do. And here's my advice when you're putting in your spark plug. Do it by hand. Make sure you have at least half of it put in by hand before you try to tighten it up with a wrench or anything. If you've got to put any torque on it at all, then you've cross-threaded it. You need to stop right away. The other thing is I don't know if you're going to be able to see this. So there are filings all over the place that fell down. I'll see if I can get a light in there, see if that helps. But right underneath the spark plug hole, there are filings, and inside the spark plug hole, there are filings of the aluminum head. So I called the customer, and here's where the trolls are going to start tapping away. I called the customer and said, you need a new head. The spark plug has cross-threaded and stripped out the head. The trolls are going to say, but you can tap it. And I told the customer that. I won't tap it. Somebody can. There are mechanics out there that will, but not this one. And the reason is I've always heard, that it's unsafe. That if you just tap it and put the spark plug back in, or even a bigger one, it's weaker now. And since there's 140 to 175 psi of pressure, pressure per square inch up against that spark plug, that if that thread broke loose, you have a missile, you have a projectile now flying through the air. Now, this isn't a lawnmower, this is a pressure washer. It is quite likely that you could be standing right in front of the spark plug when it decides to let go, if it lets go. So I thought it was unsafe. I still think it's unsafe. Now, you can buy inserts. So you thread it, bigger size hole, put an insert in it, brings it back down to the normal size. But here's the other issue I have, is we saw all those filings, at least I hope you did. If you didn't, I've probably already put up a picture of my camera, my phone camera, because I got a better picture of that when I did it that way. So the filings have now fallen down into the engine. And the other thing that can happen is, as while you're tapping it, filings can fall down into the engine. Now you're supposed to put grease on your tap, admittedly. You're supposed to vacuum all that out, admittedly. But you still can get filings in it. And it's happened to me. As I was taking the spark plug out, filings fell down into it, and I was hoping I could get the piston up just a little bit so I could get a vacuum in there. So I turned it, and as soon as I did, that filing got up against the ring and couldn't pull it. Locked it up. So you've just ruined the engine, even if the customer wanted you to replace the head. You couldn't now. You got to replace rings and pistons and maybe cylinders. So I just won't do it. So if you want to take a mechanic that will do it, that's fine. Or if you want to do it yourself, I understand. So the customer said, hey, what would a new engine cost? Can you do that? Is that possible? I said, yeah, it's a Harbor Freight engine. Predators are very, very popular. So he looked it up, called me back and said, I can't find it. What am I looking for? So I came out here, Carolyn and I both came out here looking for a part number to see if there was one. And I decided to go ahead and get on Google. And I typed in 212. And as soon as I typed in 212, for some reason, it came up with CC, because that's what it is, 212 CC Predator engine. It was the exact match for $149. And he said, well, how much would you put it on for? I said, well, probably 25, 50, 100 at the most, no more than 100. So his options were new engine, new pressure washer, or new head. Now the head would probably end up with labor costs and everything being around probably about the same price as a new engine with labor cost. So he's coming out with a new engine is the point. I think it's a safer method, but I want to stress about this spark plug thing. This is the second one I've had on pressure washers. And what it is, when you get your fingers down in here, it's hard to turn. You can't get your fingers down in here to turn the spark plug. So you can get a spark plug extension, but again, you need to make sure that you can just barely turn that spark plug wrench or the extension bar with your fingers. You don't want to be putting a lot of pressure on that. As soon as it stops, you need to stop and say, okay, there's something wrong. I'm just surprised that so many people are just forcing that down in there. It's an expensive repair. Okay, the second thing I wanted to talk about today is I did a job for a lady a few weeks ago, and it was a carburetor cleaning. That's all it was. Now, she thought it was a spark plug problem, and she said that when I got over, she said, I tried to find the spark plug, but I couldn't get the cover off the engine. Well, the spark plug isn't under the cover, it's right in the front, so she didn't, I don't even think she really knew what the spark plug was. But so I brought it over here, cleaned the carburetor, started right up, did the test run on it, and I might be showing you a video of that test run right here. I'm not sure if I got one or not. So I did the test run on it, took it over to her place, started it up, she tested it. Then she said she mowed the entire front yard and it stopped running again. She messaged me and said it stopped running again. And that she's taking a look at the carburetor and she doesn't know what's wrong with it. So I thought, well, man, the only thing I could think of is either she had bad gas, but she swore she bought brand new gas. It couldn't be bad gas. And so when she refilled it, the bad gas, water in the gas, kept it from running. So she said she looked at the carburetor and cleaned the carburetor. Well, I don't know what she means by that, cleaning the carburetor. I'm sure she didn't take it off, but whatever. So then I got to think of, well, maybe the hose or the gas tank is clogged, the fuel line. So that's an easy repair. So I said, well, I can take a look at it again, because she wanted to buy a whole new mower. I said, well, let me take a look at it again. If it just needs cleaning, then it'd probably be $25 I could do it for. The problem is that she's unemployed now, and she's got a kid, recently divorced, and she's really struggling apparently. So I didn't want her to just go out and buy a new mower, and because I'm sure that this was something minor to it, just something minor. Take the hose off, poke something through it and clean it out, and, something. Or the gas was bad. There was just no way in my mind that there was anything wrong with it. So I went over there today, and I pulled it 3 times. I didn't even use the priming bulb. I forgot all about the priming bulb. And I pulled it 3 times and it started. And she says, "Oh, just my luck." Now, I told her $25 to clean the gas tank. So I mowed her front yard, most of her front yard actually, one side I should say. She had a driveway one side and the other side. I mowed the bigger side, testing it to make sure that the ignition coil was good, because you want to make sure the ignition coil gets good and hot, because if it's a bad ignition coil, it can start to act up after it gets hot. So I ran it for a bit, mowed that whole side, everything was fine. She says, "Well, can you flood an engine by priming it too much?" And I said, yeah, you sure can. And you can. If you prime it too much, the gas gets up from the bowl into the throat of the carburetor. And if the valve's open on your engine, the intake valve, which is possible, you're just filling the cylinder up with gasoline. So she may have flooded it. So the question is do we charge her for anything? I mean, it was a long trip out there, and typically we don't do on-site work anymore. We've only done it a few times, and the first time we did it, it was terrible, absolutely terrible. The woman just kept telling us that she needed more and more and more and more done with it, and before it was all, she didn't have the money to pay. So we drove all the way out there. It would have been a lot better. I mean, think about this. It would have been a lot better if we'd have brought the mower to our place. She approved the work, because we always get approvals for work, and then she says, "Oh, I can't pay." I can hang on to the mower. And if she can't ever pay, then I can sell the mower eventually, take a mechanic's lien out on it and sell the mower and recoup my cost. Because I got parts costs in this. And on that particular mower, I think I had a belt and blades. I had new blades. So there was a bunch of stuff that I bought that she didn't have money for. So we don't do it. But in this case, I felt like it was kind of a warranty, not really a warranty. I didn't think there was anything that I had done wrong, but I wanted to see, just to make sure if I'd done something wrong, I wanted to fix it, and I wouldn't have charged for that either. So I went out there just to make sure that I hadn't done something wrong to it. And so now, do we charge her? So Carolyn and I was talking about this, and there is a lot of, in our mind, good deeds that will be returned to you somehow or another in life. Things will happen that if you just do good deeds, things will come back for you. I know I'm saying that wrong, but that you get the idea. And in my mind, I would rather have a good reputation that, he came all the way out here and he started the mower, started right up, and he mowed the front yard and nothing was wrong with it, and he didn't charge us anything. Wouldn't that be great? I mean, that's the kind of reputation you got, is, hey, he's not going to just come out there and try to steal all your money. That's not his goal. His goal is to come out, fix your lawnmower, and get paid for work. He didn't do any work other than mow my front yard, which I would have done anyways. If we would have brought it here, I would have mowed our yard, made sure it ran well, and taken it back to her. Now, I know this sounds bad, but if you go to a place and they don't even ask you what the price is, and they don't care what the price is, we live in a vacation home area. People have a lot of vacation homes here, and so they'll tell you, "Hey, come out here," and they live on these old curvy roads and a lot of gravel roads. It's a hard drive, so you come out there, you pick up their mower, bring it back, you work on it, and you give them a price, and they pay it. They never ask questions. They don't care how much it costs. They just don't care. Those kind of trips, you go out and say, okay, yeah, maybe $15 for the gas. They'll give you 25 or 30 because they're just appreciative to get their equipment running again. So you kind of just feel things out, and both the rich and the poor are happy that you've done everything you could to make them happy with their equipment. So yeah, this is going to be a pretty good video for the trolls to tell me how crazy I am and I have no idea what I'm doing. So if you'll click this up next box, it'll take you to a video where I was working on something. So if I can inspire you, Don't cross thread your spark plugs when you're living your dreams. Thanks for watching.